vast majority of us spend our days glued to chairs. And it's not because we're lazy. We are actually working our butts off. But here's the unpleasant truth. Prolonged sitting isn't just bad for posture. It raises your risks of chronic disease, drains your energy, and it's just as harmful for adults as it is for kids, even if you already work out a few times a week. So, if you've been waiting for the perfect time to get back into movement, this is it. Hi, I'm Tamara, certified master health coach. And actually, I started my career in wellness as a group X instructor and personal trainer after spending years behind a desk in a corporate world. Last week, I've shared my personal story, so check it out. And here's the thing that I've learned over the years. Being active doesn't have to mean spending 2 hours at the gym that you hate or running marathons. Also, exercise was never meant as punishment. And there is no such thing as perfect workout. Being active is about giving your body the breaks and support it needs to function as it was designed to. In today's episode, I will break down why movement is so important, what the official science actually recommends, and most importantly, how you can fit it all into your life in a way that feels realistic, sustainable, and fun. Once again, I'm calling for our knowledge about human evolution to illustrate the reasons behind the importance of physical activity. Humans spend most of our history hunting and gathering, and it means walking or jogging every day for as long as the sun was up, fueled by a very limited amount of food, by the way. So we are so good at endurance sports because that's how we hunted. We just follow the poor animal around until it collapsed of exhaustion. Because even though we can't move super fast, we can do it for unfairly long. Our bodies gained all the adaptations needed for that lifestyle. So you can only imagine how well it matches with our modern daily life. No wonder so many of us feel achy, sluggish, and older than we are. Our bodies were not made for sedentary lifestyle, topped with an abundance of calories. One of the main adaptation mechanisms that allowed our species to survive is use it or lose it. If you don't use your muscles, there is no need to maintain them then. Remember, evolution doesn't give a shit about beach body look. It only cares if you survive or not. So if you don't load your bones and ligaments, they do not need to be as strong and dense, because from the evolution standpoint, it's just a waste of energy that we supposedly can't afford. So unless you do use it on a regular basis, you will lose muscle mass, heart and lung capacity, bone density, elasticity of the tissues, including blood vessels, and so on and so forth. And science has proven now that insufficient activity is associated with greater risks of early mortality, as well as all sorts of chronic disease and overall lower quality of life. Just listing all the health benefits of being active is going to take a whole separate video. And it isn't only about the physical health as well. Like, recent research shows that the link between our activity levels and mental health and cognitive abilities is very strong as well. And it's true for all ages. For kids, being active is linked to normal growth and development, better behaviors and better grades, as well as having more friends. Active adults have lower risks of mental illnesses and cognitive decline, better memory and steadier emotions than their sedentary counterparts. Slower aging and maintaining independence in older age are also pretty nice perks. So, how much do we have to move in order to gain all the health benefits, knowing that we still have jobs, hobbies, and sometimes we just need to chill? Physical activity guidelines for Americans summarize what knowledge the global science have acquired so far. In order to maximize our chances of living a long, active, and independent life, it's recommended to engage in two kinds of activities on a regular basis, so-called cardio and muscle strengthening routines. Adults are encouraged to participate in strength training of any kind 2-3 times a week, making sure to involve all the muscle groups around the body. For aerobic activity, aka cardio, the minimal recommendation is 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week. Any activity with the intensity of a brisk walk counts. You can ramp up the intensity to vigorous, and then you will only need to hit a 75-minute mark per week to meet the recommended activity levels. The reality today is that less than a third of Americans actually meet aerobic and strength training recommendations. This lack of movement is a huge contributor to early mortality, loss of independence, and development of all sorts of chronic illnesses. Sedentary lifestyle that we lead is responsible for making us live shorter and being pretty miserable for a considerable part of these short lives. And this is why I encourage you to view physical activity not as a chore or punishment for that extra cookie that you ate, but as an act of love and respect to yourself. And the first step in giving yourself this respect is being honest with assessing where you are now and accepting it as your starting point. If you've found yourself among the 2/3 of population not yet following the official guidelines, it's not the reason to be ashamed. You had your reasons. But the question is, how would you like to proceed from this starting point? And here I'm going to offer you one piece of advice that is true regardless of where you are now in your wellness journey and what goals for the future you have in mind. Go slow. If, let's say, you currently have zero activity, the guidelines minimum may not be a reasonable place to start at all. I'd suggest to add something that feels easy. And while for some people adding a 30-minute walk into a day is easy, for others it might be absolutely unreachable, and that's okay. The beginning steps towards being more active may look like 2 minutes of, stretching in your chair a couple times throughout a day, or experimenting with standing desks, or parking farther from your destination to add some extra steps. Look for the opportunities to move within the lifestyle that you already have, and then just gradually add more activities. Now, if you decided to commit to increasing your activity, here are some tips to help you get going and maintain the momentum. Block the time like an appointment. Showing up for yourself is just as important. Choose formats you actually enjoy. Walk, dance, gym, yoga, climbing, sports with friends, whatever. Something that you like doing today. And experiment and stay flexible when life shifts. Use accountability, whether it's a partner, a group, or an app. And don't hesitate to get professional help if you need structure or support. Movement doesn't have to be extreme to be powerful. It's about building a rhythm that works with your life, not against it. If sitting is pulling you down, think of each movement break as reclaiming energy, focus, and health. And if you need help finding your way to move with joy and ease, let's talk. There is definitely a bunch of activities that are just waiting for you to try and integrate into the life your dream self is living. See you next week. Bye.